And welcome everyone back to the channel. I am Zach, your host here on the YOBRONATION YouTube channel. And this is the best of the best countdown, episode 13. And today I am doing a top 10 runner-ups in the Royal Rumble. And I am going for both the men's and the women's. Of course, with the women's, I only have, 3 to choose from? I believe so. Only 3 to choose from. Just the sound here. But welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Can you believe we're already almost through January? We're already almost through January. Only a few weeks away from the Royal Rumble. Like what? Just under 2 weeks. Like, it's insane that we are already through this. Some house cleaning business before I get into everything else. Follow us on all our social media, Twitter, Facebook. We do have a StreamLabs you can get on. I do have Instagram if you guys want to look me up. You can look me up on Instagram through the Facebook group. So go check that stuff out. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and share this video with your friends. Real quick, speaking of the Royal Rumble, since that is what we were on, January 30th, 2021, the night before the Royal Rumble, Impact Pro Wrestling presents Awakened. Our buddy, our friend here on the channel, Jake Capone, is going to be there for that show. He is chasing that world championship. If you're in the area or you want to watch it on Facebook, go to their Facebook group. It's there on the screen. I can link this down below if need be. But go to their Facebook group or join them there. Tickets are on sale. Bell times at 7:30 p.m. January 30th. That's a Saturday. Go check it out. It's the night before the Royal Rumble. And go support Jake. Jake supports the channel, so we shall support Jake. So please, please, please go check that out. So, top 10 Royal Rumble runners-up. Basically, I'm going to talk about what happened the year after. You know, following that Royal Rumble. What was their year like? That's basically where I'm going to go with this. That's my criteria. Some you may think it was better, but then maybe some of the matches they had that year were just simply a little better. I do have a few honorable mentions, and I'm going to save the honorable mentions till I get to number 2. And before I reveal number 1, then that's what I'll do. So let's go ahead then. Let's go ahead and let's start this with number 10. I'm not going to lie to you. This list was not easy to put together at all. But number 10, Charlotte Flair from the 2019 Women's Royal Rumble. Charlotte obviously had to break this list simply because of the fact that she won the SmackDown Women's Championship and was in the first ever women's main event at WrestleMania. Off of just that alone, you can't help but put her on this list. And she was borderline. It was between her and someone else. But ultimately, that is what the factor was. But she went on that year to eventually win the Women's Championship again. And she didn't have a bad year. Charlotte never has a bad year, right? We can all agree to that. Charlotte Flair never really has a bad year. But and I know a lot of people, only Charlotte Flair. She's always in this. Everyone predicted Charlotte would somehow be a part of that women's main event. You know, she had the program with Ronda, going into the Rumble. And then, she got a part of the Becky Ronda stuff. And then, she ended up in that main event. She didn't take the loss either, so that's a big point for her. She ain't the one who took the pinfall. Won the Women's Championship twice that year. Had some big high-profile matches. It was another year for Charlotte. And but just off of that women's main event alone, I couldn't help but put her on this list. Just mainly off of that alone. So you don't get much better than that. Number 9. Jumping into number 9. Roman Reigns from 2017. Now, I will probably get some hate because people don't like Roman Reigns for whatever reason. I used to dislike him, but despite the fact that Roman never won a championship in 2017, well, I think he won the he won the Intercontinental title that year. So he was the Intercontinental Champion in the fall of that year. Roman Reigns competed in his 3rd consecutive WrestleMania main event. And it wasn't a championship match, but it was more. It was for the streak. Well, it wasn't for the streak. I forgot. The streak ended. Imagine how much better that would have been if it was for the streak. They faced The Undertaker. And what a lot of people thought was actually Taker's last match. And the heat he got off of that, he was able to carry that momentum. He ended up having that awesome fucking ambulance match with Braun Strowman. He had a few awesome matches with Braun Strowman. They always gelled really well together. They had their feud that year. He went to the Fatal 4-Way at SummerSlam that year and competed. He had a huge profile match with John Cena where he won and he went over. And then, like I said, he won the Intercontinental Championship. You know, kind of forming the Shield a little bit that year. They started to rebuild the Shield at that point. So Roman Reigns more than definitely had a great year as a runner-up in the 2017 Royal Rumble. So, oh yeah, I guess I could mention who they lost to. Of course, Charlotte in the 2019 Royal Rumble lost to Becky. You know, fair enough. And then Roman in the 2017 Rumble lost to Randy Orton. Randy shouldn't have been in that, but hey, it is what it is. I'm going to keep going, though. So let's skip on to number 8. Number 8 was Kurt Angle from the 2002 Royal Rumble, where he did lose to Triple H, who would go on to WrestleMania to win the WWE Undisputed Championship. Kurt Angle was in a peculiar situation in 2002. You know, he was the WWE Champion the year prior. And they didn't, you really didn't have a lot for Kurt. And he had that, that feud that lasted through No Way Out with Triple H after, losing the Rumble. It started when Triple H returned. And, he ended up having a 3-match series starting from Mania to Judgment Day with a wrestler who I'm just, going to say, Chris Benoit. Which were brilliant matches. His match at Mania was brilliant. He went on to face Hulk Hogan at the King of the Ring, and he competed for the championship. He had probably the best match at SummerSlam that year with Rey Mysterio. The brand split happened. He became a part of the SmackDown 6. He formed a team with Benoit that year as well. Oh, no. It wasn't Benoit in 2002. My bad. Oh my God, my years are mixed up. No, he had a series of matches. He had the match with Kane at WrestleMania, which actually turned out to be really good. And then at Backlash and Judgment Day, he faced Edge. And Edge made him have to lose his hair. Why did I say Chris Benoit? Because I'm a loser sometimes. But yeah, he had those matches. Then he had Hulk Hogan. Then he was a part of that triple threat match at Vengeance for the WWE Championship. He had the spectacular match with Rey Mysterio. Then at Unforgiven, he faced Chris Benoit. And then he went on to No Mercy to win the first ever WWE Tag Team Championships. They were the first champions. They had that fantastic match at Survivor Series, that triple threat match for those titles with Edge and Rey and Los Guerreros. That was a wonderful match. And then he capped off the year by defeating the Big Show for the WWE Championship, and he would go on to hold that title till WrestleMania the next year. So, no doubt, after not winning the Rumble, Kurt had a spectacular freaking year. So, yeah, I have no doubt that he should have been in that spot. Number 7, Bret the Hitman Hart from 1997's Royal Rumble. A match that, in all fairness, he should have won, but due to the nefarious means of one Steve Austin, Bret lost that. And it's really what set Bret onto the path of being that heel that turned out Bret was brilliant at doing. Bret was a brilliant heel in wrestling. So Bret would go on to win the championship the next month at the Fatal, or the Four Corners match, the Final Four pay-per-view at In Your House, but would drop the belt the next night back to Sid, who lost it at the Rumble. But then Bret would have probably one of the most iconic matches in WrestleMania history when he faced Stone Cold Steve Austin, which kick-started their whole feud, and you saw Austin bleeding in that match. You go on to have a few matches with Austin, and then going into Summer, he would win the WWE Championship from The Undertaker due to a accidental chair shot by Shawn Michaels. Of course, Bret would defend that title all the way up to Montreal at the Survivor Series, and I don't have to repeat it. We all know what happened there with the screw job. And then Bret would end his year going to WCW and being a part of, not competing in, but a part of the main event of Starrcade. Think about that. The man started the year with WWE, was in one of the main events of WrestleMania, and then was involved in a main event of Starrcade in the same year. That's pretty good. That is a pretty good resume for the year of 1997. Fortunately, WCW didn't get much better for him following that for a couple of years, which sucks because Bret was really good. Let's go ahead and let's move on to number 6. And number 6 is Dean Ambrose, or Jon Moxley, depending on who you are. 2016 was a weird year. They started the year off with Roman Reigns defending the WWE Championship inside the Royal Rumble, but he didn't even win the match. He wasn't even a part of the final 2 men. It came down to Triple H and Dean Ambrose. Triple H winning the Rumble, becoming the WWE Champion, and Dean coming this close, right there, to winning that match. Of course, Dean would go on to Roadblock and face Triple H, and a lot of people were pushing for Dean to be a part of WrestleMania after that match. But what'd they do? They booked Roman. Dean would sadly go on to have a lackluster match with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania that year. He would kind of meander around, but then he won Money in the Bank. That, I believe it was in June. Yeah, in June he won Money in the Bank. And he would cash in on the same night and would win his first and only WWE Championship. He would then go on to the Battleground pay-per-view the next month and defend that in a triple threat match, and probably what would be the highest profile title defense he would have against Roman and Seth in a Shield triple threat, retaining his championship. Dean would end up keeping the title till September at Backlash after being drafted as the top SmackDown pick of the draft, being the WWE champion, and he would lose the championship to AJ Styles, but he would remain in the title picture throughout the rest of the year, all the way up till TLC with that fantastic fucking WWE title match. I mean, absolutely fantastic. But 2017, he'd start the year off as the Intercontinental Champion shortly after the next year's Rumble. So, not the best year, but the fact that the man became a staple, set up the SmackDown going into the second draft that they were doing, the second brand split, wasn't really a super bad year. I mean, honestly, it was a good year for someone like a Dean Ambrose. We all saw how history went, though, so kind of sucks. Let's go on to number 5. Number 5, we did it for The Rock. The Rock of the 1998 Rumble, where he ended up losing to Steve Austin, who would go on to win the WWE Championship for his first time at WrestleMania 14. 1998 was a unique year. WWE was starting the Attitude Era, from the previous year, building their new superstars. And one of the pieces they had that they really wanted to work with was The Rock. The man was the Intercontinental Champion going into that Rumble, and defended the title that night, would go on to defend the championship at Mania, where he would lose, but then would have the decision reversed. Rock would go on to explode shortly after that, going into the King of the Ring, where he ultimately would lose to Ken Shamrock. Him and Ken Shamrock, that whole year, Rock would have a brilliant 30-minute Iron Man match. Not an Iron Man match, but have a brilliant match with Triple H at Fully Loaded that year. Would go to SummerSlam to defend the championship, the Intercontinental Championship, in a wonderful ladder match at Highway to Hell, SummerSlam, Madison Square Garden, a very high-profile match. Would become the number 1 contender at Breakdown the next month in a triple threat cage match against Shamrock and Mankind. And then, finally, The Rock would culminate his big year, becoming the WWE Champion in the Deadly Games Tournament Finals at the Survivor Series that year. And he would become the youngest WWE Champion at that point in time ever at 25 years of age. I think he was 26 or 25. The youngest champ in history. And then he'd go on to defend the championship the next month. And he would continue on his next into the early part of 99, feuding with Mankind, back and forth for the championship, ultimately remaining champion and defending that title at WrestleMania in the main event against Steve Austin the next year. Not a bad 1998 for this man, you know what I mean? Like, that's a pretty damn good year. The Rock, at this point, would become one of the biggest superstars. He was over like Rover, and then they flipped and made him a heel with the corporation. It was a damn good 1998, and I remember it all fondly because that was the year I started watching this shit for the first time, and I loved it. I loved wrestling. It was really, truly fantastic. Let's go ahead. We're into the top 5, everybody. We're into the top 5. So I'm going to move on to number 4. And at number 4, I know, some people are like, oh, Jesus, Zachary. Triple H from 2008. And Triple H would go on that year, in 2008, to become a part of the main event of WrestleMania. He would lose that Royal Rumble to a returning John Cena. John Cena would relinquish his title opportunity at Mania to cash that in at the No Way Out pay-per-view against Randy Orton, because, of course, Randy Orton is the one who injured John Cena, where he had to give up his year-long title run to go have surgery. Showed up way earlier than expected. So Triple H would end up in the title match, these sort of semi-main event. It was a part of the main events for that year's Mania 24. Would have a losing effort, but would then have the rematch at Backlash the next month, and then would win the WWE Championship where Triple H would hold that title facing people like Khali and Jeff Hardy, amongst others, and would hold that title all the way up till Survivor Series, where he would lose it to Edge in a triple threat match with him and Vladimir Kozlov. Some people think that title run was kind of lackluster, but him and Randy Orton had a couple really good matches. Was it Judgment Day? They had, was it a steel cage match, I think? And then at Extreme Rules, they had that last man standing match. So those were really good matches. And sure, after that, Khali was one of his matches, I believe, at SummerSlam. And then he had the first ever, what was the championship scramble match at Unforgiven. He was a part of that where he retained his championship. So, I mean, not a bad resume for that year. I know a lot of people shit on that title run, but actually I think that was one of Triple H's better title runs, you know, especially as a face. Then he would, you know, be a part of the main events at Armageddon that August, where that December at Armageddon, where Jeff Hardy would become WWE champion. And then Triple H would actually, in 2009, end up being, once again, the runner-up in that Royal Rumble, but then would end up winning the championship and defending it in the main event of WrestleMania that year. So, not a bad year. Not a bad year at all. So, I don't know. A lot of people are probably like, I don't know. Triple H could put him lower. And maybe I could have. But this is where I placed him, basically based upon strength of schedule. He ended up becoming the face of SmackDown. And I remember actually going to a house show during that run and watching him defend the title on a house show for Raw in El Paso. No, it was in Las Cruces. We ended up going to Las Cruces. Me, Sergeant Zentz, and Adams. And he defended the title in a three-way against John Cena and Umenga, as Lord William Regal would call him. Number 3. This is a fun one. But number 3, oh my God, it's Roman Reigns again. Roman Reigns for the year 2020. Yeah, Roman was missing a huge part of this year. But he would end up in the Universal title picture going into WrestleMania after losing in the Rumble to Drew McIntyre, which was completely the right call. No doubt in my mind it was the right call. But he would leave to protect himself, protect his family. I guess he was having another kid on the way, so he would leave for that. But then he would make this super impactful return the night of SummerSlam. You'll never see it coming, and no one did. And then he would immediately be put in the title picture, and he has been Universal Champion since. And he had a brilliant story, a brilliant feud that's still sort of going with Jey Uso. That who would have thought Jey Uso main eventing and being in high-profile matches would be good? And he made it work. Then he had the freaking fantastic Survivor Series match with Randy Orton. He had a brilliant TLC match with Kevin Owens. And he's currently probably going to have another match with Owens, but he's now in this story with Adam Pearce that's kind of like, interesting. This is different, but it's interesting. So the man has had a great year this year. So it's definitely the more current of all of these. His story is still being written, so I couldn't put it number 1 because his story is still being written to be finished. He's probably going to retain the title at the Royal Rumble, probably going to go to Mania. And I'm going to be like, yeah, he probably had the best run as a runner-up. So definitely would put, Roman's the only guy who's actually on the official list twice. But there's a guy on this list who's going to appear a second time as an honorable mention. So there's that. All right. Number 2. Number 2 is a fun one. Number 2, Stone Cold Steve Austin from 1999. Of course, Austin in the No Chance in Hell Rumble match opposite of Vince McMahon. At the peak of the McMahon-Austin feud happening here. Austin losing the Rumble to McMahon, who entered at number 1 and won the match. And, albeit, he wasn't in the match pretty much the majority of it, but no one cared because it was Austin McMahon. But then Austin would get his title shot, but had to put it on the line with Vince in the steel cage match at St. Valentine's Day Massacre that year. It was really, really good. I mean, truly. Big Show's appearance. But then Austin would go to Mania 99 and kind of tie into these two, would then face The Rock for said championship, and then they would have a rematch at Backlash after Austin would win the title, stunning McMahon, stunning Austin, stunning Foley, stunning everybody. Then Austin would lose the title at Judgment Day, at Over the Edge, a very sad day, the passing of Owen, but then would win the title back later in June, and then would keep that title till SummerSlam, and then Austin was kind of off again on TV, but he was still very prevalent all the way up till the Survivor Series, where Austin would then leave for a good part of a year to have neck surgery. But still, you'd probably think, well, you've clearly mentioned others who have had better runs after the Rumble, but it's Steve Austin. The man was a freaking outside enforcer for a six-pack challenge at Unforgiven that year, and was the most over person out of everybody. And people would have probably preferred to see Austin in that position. Just based on who he is, what he did, I put him higher, because I'm a mark for Steve Austin. Austin got me into wrestling. So, yeah, call me a mark. That's what I did. All right, so before I get to the number 1 pick, I'm going to go ahead and jump in and do these honorable mentions, because they're definitely worth mentioning. Mr. Perfect from the 1990 Royal Rumble, where he lost to Hogan. But the man would then go on to win the Intercontinental Championship in May. He was coming off of an undefeated. He was still undefeated at this point. Bobby Heenan became his manager. He had a nice high-profile matchup at SummerSlam. He faced Roddy Piper that year. The man had a golden 1990 going into 1991. So clearly, he is a part of this. Diesel of 1996. Diesel didn't really win anything big. He went to face The Undertaker after losing the Rumble to Shawn Michaels. He'd be a part of a title match against Bret at the In Your House show. He would, face Taker at Mania. Then he would face Shawn for the title at the next pay-per-view. And then he was gone. But then Diesel became Kevin Nash and would join WCW Television, where he would form the NWO with Scott Hall and Hogan. And he'd end up becoming tag team champion by the end of the year with Scott Hall with the Outsiders. So, Kevin Nash, Diesel, had a fantastic 96 following his Rumble. And John Cena from 2010 would be the runner-up in the Royal Rumble. It was a good Rumble. It was. Who won in 2010? Honestly, now I can't remember. Oh, Edge. Edge would return, win the Rumble that year in a losing effort at Mania. But John would win the WWE Championship at the Elimination Chamber to then lose it to Batista that same night. But then he would return at Mania, beating Big Dave for the championship, and then beating him in 2 subsequent rematches. And then would eventually lose it to Sheamus, and then bury the Nexus on his way out into 2011, where he would end up feuding with The Rock. So, yeah, I could have put John, but ultimately how the summer went with how he buried the Nexus and then into the fall, I kind of left him off the main list because that kind of just irritated me. So that's my honorable mentions. Not bad. They're not bad. Like, I had 30 plus people I could look at. I thought about Ted DiBiase, but but it was a different time and era. It is what it is. It's my list, right? Yeah. So, here we go. Number 1, drum roll please. I need to add a drum roll sound effect to this. But number 1 is John Cena from 2005. I could hear the masses screaming now. Wait, you just said John Cena was unhonorable. Now he's on here. Yep. Because it's my list. John Cena from 2005. No doubt that man had the absolute best year. Following his, what almost was a tie a la the Rumble 1994. But John would go on, win a triple threat match to earn that title opportunity at WrestleMania 21, where both him and actually Dave Bautista would win their first championships. Dave being in the main event against Triple H and him facing JBL, who was coming off of a long 10-month reign on SmackDown. But Cena would then defend the title at Judgment Day, the SmackDown exclusive, in a very bloody, violent rematch. And then Cena would be drafted to Raw, where everything changed. Cena became the man. And Cena would go on to hold that championship till New Year's Revolution in January. He held it from early April to January, where he would lose the title to Edge, who cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase, but Cena would win the title right back, and he would go on to continue to hold that, main eventing WrestleMania 22, and then finally losing it in June of 2006 to Edge, or to Rob Van Dam. Like, he had a brilliant year, and he faced the likes of Chris Jericho and Christian. He faced Kurt Angle on several occasions. He defended that title against everybody. His SummerSlam match with Jericho was brilliant. His match at Unforgiven, and then I think it was at Cyber Tuesday, Taboo Tuesday. Those matches were brilliant. I mean, John was having great matches. And yeah, he wasn't the dance leader, but he was having great matches. So without doubt, John would, to me, be the best runner-up currently. Maybe I'll do this list again in 2 years, and it's part 2, where I revise the list. I don't know, but as of this moment, John's had the best runner-up. So, that's my list. What would be your list? I guess I should ask. Thank you guys so very much for joining me here on the channel. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button. Share this video if you want to, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. My goal by the end of summer is to hit 200 subs. That's my goal. So by my birthday, August 3rd, I want to be at 200 subs. If I can be at more, that'd be awesome. Damn. But we're slowly climbing. So thank you guys. Thank you to everyone who supported me, everyone who's watched this video and watched all my videos this month. Of course, there's a playlist that popped up for other best of the best countdown videos. That's already popped up at the beginning of the videos. You guys can go watch those. There's going to be a couple videos for some movie reviews and some television reviews that will pop up at the end of this video. So thank you guys very much. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. It's a crazy world. But remember, stay safe, stay healthy. And above all else, join the nation. Have a great day. Yo Bro Nation! Join us at teepublic.com/YoBroNation for our all new merch lineup like the Recess Still Ain't Old, the Yo Bro Nation Entertainment t-shirt, the Sidekick Susie Stranger Things shirt. It's a pretty sweet shirt. The Yo Bro Nation swirly shirt. How about I Love Yo Face Sidekick Susie t-shirt? Ooh. Or the Rainbow Sidekick Susie shirt. Yeah. Also, this exclusive limited time offer, we got a Forever Serenity special sale! Look at that. Isn't that pretty cool? I think it's pretty awesome. Hope for Ambi special sale. Help support a friend who really needs the help. 3 different t-shirt designs. We got the Hope for Ambi Black Angel t-shirt. The Hope for Ambi, Do You Want to Beat Up Cancer t-shirt. Wow, that's pretty nice. So yes, shop with us now at teepublic.com/YoBroNation. Get all your shirts. Stay safe, stay healthy, and above else, join the nation.